So this is week number 5, and this is looking at sending data over the internet. So we've been looking at algorithms and flowcharts, and this week you'll be putting them together to work out an algorithm for sending data over the internet. So let's look at some key vocabulary today. So we have packets, IP address, data, network, and internet. So today is about understanding how data is sent over the internet. So let's look. The internet. It's a worldwide collection of computer networks. So you looked at networks in week number 1 about connecting computer devices together. They form a network. The internet is a connection of all of these networks all joined together. So if we've got all of our networks and they're all joined together, how do devices send data across the internet? Remember, a few billion devices in the world all sending data. How on earth are we going to make sure it gets to the right place? We need rules and we need algorithms. We use something called HTTP, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's a set of rules, and everyone uses these same set of rules so that we can follow them and that no one messes up or accidentally ruins how our data is sent over the internet. So HTTP, what are these rules to send our data? Now, data is sent over the internet, so our networks, and it's broken down into smaller chunks called packets to be sent. Let's have a visual representation of this. Our piece of data, so let's call this data. This is broken down into smaller pieces. It's then given some unique properties which make sure it gets to the right place. So an IP address and a number. Now the number obviously is an order number. If we've broken something down, we number all of our pieces so that we know how to put them back together once we send it over the internet. Once it reaches where it needs to be reached, obviously each of these blocks, or we need to start calling them packets, get to where they need to go. They're then put back together. So making sure that we put them back in the correct order and not in the wrong order. So each of our packets is given an IP address, and each of the packets is numbered separately, and then this allows it to be put in the correct order once it reaches the destination. So what is an IP address? You may have seen numbers like this, 83.170.121.1. There are a lot of different combinations of these IP addresses. It's like every front door in the world. Every computer in the world has a separate, unique address. Data can be sent to these addresses to request or display a web page, for example. So once we've got our packets, how is it actually sent? Well, you might think in a straight line. When we send packets of data over our many millions of networks over the internet, all our packets don't go the same way. They don't go the shortest way, they go the quickest way. Now this may depend on how much data is in that particular network. So our clever things called routers, which you may have at home if you have the internet, the router guides the data onto networks which aren't so busy. It looks for less busy networks so that our data can be sent nice and speedily, and it can get to where it needs to go as quick as possible. So it's not always the same route, and it will differ for all of our packets, which is why we need those order numbers to make sure that when we get them all, we know how to put them back together. So, quick recap. Packets are broken down into separate pieces, and then these are then sent across the internet or networks, and then they can be reassembled at the other end. Take this example here. A picture is broken down into packets. Those packets are given an IP address and an order number so that we can put them back together once they get to the end. So, our algorithm, our set of instructions on how we can send data. Now, this algorithm or rule is used by everybody, and this way everyone uses the same rules and no one messes anything up, and all of our packets and data can be sent nice and safely across the internet and reach where we want them to go. So number one, the data that is going to be sent over a network is broken down into equal size packets. Number two, each packet is given a number to identify it and its order, along with the sender's IP address and the receiving IP address, so those addresses. Number three, the packets are sent across the network, the internet. Each packet will travel a different route across the network. This is known as packet switching. Number four, the packets are received and are checked to see if the packets have been received. If not, we keep waiting. This makes sure that if we're receiving some data, making sure that we've got everything. Otherwise, we might be missing bits of pictures, or bits of text, or bits of our films. Number five, the packets are reordered in the correct order and then passed to the application, so what made the request in the first place. So for instance, if you're using Netflix, your Netflix program will request a video. It will then get broken down at the other end, and it will get sent to wherever it is being sent to, and then reassembled in the correct order so that you can view it. This week's tasks. Please choose one only from the following two. Create a flowchart to show the steps of sending information over the internet. So you can create a flowchart, which you've looked at over the last week. You can use last week's website to build your flowchart. Or number two, create a stop motion animation to show how information is sent over the internet. So this, you may use anything of your disposal and create a stop motion animation to show how data is sent. For example, you could use Lego blocks assembled in a particular way. You can then label these with an address, an IP address, and then you can show how they get broken down, sent over the internet, and reassembled. Use the information on this PowerPoint to help you with all the steps. And finally, if you're curious about what your IP address is at home, there is a link on Firefly to go and find out what your IP address is. If you click on the link, it will tell you your IP address and it will show you your location, not very accurately, but it will show you that you are in Cornwall. Any questions, please email your teachers. Thanks for watching.